But now on to our next thing. I just wanted to introduce Zenaida to kick off our Menstrual Summit today. We're going to start with a spoken word performance designed to move us, inspire us, and ground us in the heart of why we're here today. Before we dive into facts, policies, and strategies, we want to pause and allow poetry to open our hearts and minds, setting the tone for a day rooted in empathy, passion, and justice. It is my honor to introduce Zenaida, a talent slam poet whose words amplify the experience and story that often go unheard. Zenaida Peterson is the author of her first full length book of poetry, Sky Response Our Holler, and they are a Black Southern Quaker mystic. A parent of 5 species living in a queer coop in Boston, Zenaida is the founding director of the feminine empowerment movement, SLAM. You can find their work at the Game Over Books, Pizza Pie Press, Button Poetry, and Slam Find of What's Good Black. Please join me in welcoming Zenaida.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Thanks for having me. I'll jump right into it. Every time I have butterflies, I am self-conscious, but what if I just flew away? I move the thrifted yellow mirror to the yoga studio of my attic bedroom. I twist my body to catch my belly fully hanging out of my underwear. In the vintage reflection, today, like most days, I love it. Yesterday, I saw my stupid summer crush on Zoom.us and could not stop looking at my square, wishing I was someone else's hot. Let's skip to the part where I'm happily in 3 relationships, finding new ways to fall in love with the way my metamors prune the linden trees. Anyone can do what they're told. I'm growing my beard towards my titties. My first gender transition was giving up on making my body small enough to fit. I cannot afford a crush that triggers mental illness. I don't actually want to be so desirable that people can't focus on the task at hand. Incantations to fit my body into a vase or an urn. This is the witchcraft that grows dust on my bookshelves. My tattoo artist is covering me in roots and mushrooms so I don't forget where I come from. Why would I trust people who are always trying to clean away the dirt, cut out the fat? I've never wanted to be anything more than old and in love, drawing stars in my wrinkles and making meaning really, really slowly. I need an eyeshadow palette so pigmented with colors neon enough that uglification becomes an extreme sport. Transgender inversion so hard my pet snake doesn't even recognize me. Cry me a waterfall, but I don't want to be beautiful. I want to be listened to. Call the doctor all you want, but my belly is my greatest weapon, and you couldn't pay me to lose another thing in this life on purpose. Thank you all so much. Yeah, I got one of the most interesting emails in my poetic life recently that said, "Do you have any poems about periods?" And I was like, let me look. And, dropped into my Google Drive periods. And I found 2 that I wrote many years ago that I will read to you all today. And I also searched blood. And so some of these poems are not exactly about periods, but also about blood. And yeah, I'm so glad that that funny email has led me to be in front of you today. A summit that I didn't know existed, but I'm really glad that it does. So this next poem is called What Makes a Woman Fear Her Own Blood. The body isn't supposed to bleed from here. That's what skin is for. We clot as a reaction, as a fix. Blood is a city bus system that works properly. Veins, a city that never has traffic, takes passengers wherever they are going, all hours, in a timely manner, waits for nothing until skin breaks. In August, the rivers that ran through us never worried until a bullet finds its way into a body, into a face. Blood thinks it solves problems, like a parent's kiss on a child's bump. Blood wonders what happened to skin because blood never wanted to be a verb, never worried. Blood says all buses are temporarily discontinued, like a transportation app that pushes back the arrival time, bleeds until it just disappears from the map. Blood in one body missing has a way of stopping flow in others. A traffic, a clot, a fix. No, we can't breathe. And no one is going to be getting anywhere on time because we are spreading all over the city like our bodies solve problems, like we have a strong need to keep the buses inside us, keeping our insides from becoming a verb. The body isn't supposed to bleed, not from our chests. That's what skin is for. I love getting my period, the way it requests to be taken care of, the way I look at myself, what I've created a few times a day. I love forgetting tampons and letting myself bleed. I love the way my body calls attention to itself. On my last free bleed, let's be honest, it was yesterday, I thought about my mom, thought about my grandmothers, all of the people who bled, and all of the women who still bleed in me because my mother bled, because my grandmothers bleed. I bleed to see wounds, to see the insides of me become outside. Today, I forgot tampons. I don't know if it's the rain, but I can feel every drop. I can feel my periods are not my disgrace. They are not my most embarrassing moment. They are reminders of what my body can do. I welcome the dripping creek that makes me curious in the middle of a lesson with students too young to have periods. Makes me wonder how it's going, how long it will take until I show who I really am, a bleeding person. I've gone to the bathroom so many times today that the only thing to smell is iron. The blood has cleansed me, covered me. Who here has PCOS? Anybody? Okay, there's a few of us. I think it's like 2 out of every 5 bleeding people have PCOS. And yeah, the symptoms that I have are having super irregular periods, going like, I've gone up to a year without bleeding. And I've also had there has been a year where I bled more days than I wasn't bleeding. And I've worked with acupuncturists that have helped me empower me with plants to figure out how to regulate better. Vitamin C has been really helpful for trying to get myself to bleed. Eating a lot of parsley. And that's just like helpful information for anyone who needs to bleed at any time. Anyway, my next poem is called 21% of People Are Afraid of Needles. And I was going to say that it's sort of about a side hustle I had in high school and college, giving people piercings, body modifications. And but I ended up piercing my housemate last night, so it's not as much in the past as I thought. Breakup doulas replace pillow talk. My Scorpio placements light a candle for the inconsolable and say, when they are ready, this is hollow, steel, designed to hold promises? No. Your body? No. A ring. Only for a moment, only until the jewelry is through, until we don't need it anymore. My fingers knead on the nipple, putting pieces together until falling out of the body isn't a danger anymore. I love divorce. There's nothing like amendment, to know the capacity of what a body can bury under the skin. A vacancy leaves room for God. I show them in a mirror. It fit perfectly, but it's not supposed to hide in the needle. Some beautiful things are destined for adornment. We talk about the healing process. I sop up the blood. You know, some people don't bleed at all, not a drop. Devastating. Put salt water 3 times a day. makes a habit of showing up at the wound. Thank you. I'm in a men's bathroom bleeding. Femmes who do not get periods have taught me that all femmes bleed, that there is a shedding that happens for the feminine. This blood, my period, a welcomed friend, reminds me that I am of nature and not in control of this body. There are things I don't say, but the blood pours out of me. Tonight, I bleed through all my clothes in front of femmes, hosting an open mic for femmes, and I bleed with them. Bled so much I thought I'd pass out. Bled so much I needed to lay down. Forgot how to say no again, how to ask for help. But it was glorious, all the bleeding that we did in that room together, all over the floor with blessing. I think my period is a blessing. I think it comes only when good things are happening. I think my period is a friend that shows up for me, a community member that visits and feels with me. Yesterday, I spoke with a cisgender woman who's never gotten her period. She has no sense of smell. Men did tests on her, named the condition after themselves, gave her drugs that made her bleed for a month. It was the greatest she's ever felt. Not in the river of life, but a part of it. Felt the moon. They cut her off the hormones, but she is satisfied knowing what it feels like. She wishes now they could give her a sense of smell. She wants to know the scent of blood. The bleeding is a privilege they named burden, mispronounced inconvenience. I'm thankful for all the bleeding I let take up space, all the silencing I didn't do to my body tonight. I have 2 more poems for you all. This next one is about that period of time when I was running a poetry slam competition for feminine folks. What we mean when we say we center the feminine. The softest part, my kitten's belly, the lowest spot on Ewan's head. We're talking sea foam and fudgy cookies and craters, marigolds glittering a cemetery on the 1st of November. Spending hours making chamomile beard oil for friends. We're talking painting your crush's nails while they plan for our liberated future. We tried to put mics in the hands of rough drafts that make the reader choked up at the line about missing someone who is making breakfast with someone else. And it is too simple, so people ask, can I be here? Like they didn't wash the crust out of their eyes mid-morning in a gas station bathroom on the way to be hopeful. Like they have never gotten wrecked by a crush that circled no on a wide-ruled note with red ink asking, will you be my Valentine? Some were afraid of the word femme, which makes sense. People die for that word every day. Not all of us can stand in the deafening wind on the front of a boat. Some of us hide in corduroy they want to trade in for sundresses, and we read poems on dingy anarchist meeting floors for them. Those who were afraid of not belonging never heard people avenging their abusers in a sonnet wrapped in ivy garlands at the haunted open mic, and I hope one day they will, even if the hollow changes, even if we never use the same names again. If you haven't seen the sunset, you don't know the significance of in between, of both and. Being tender is tough. Being marvelous is mighty. Can you see how powerful we can be when the chaos stills? When we good morning slow and talk about our dreams. And it is not about lipstick and combat boots because some of us feel most masculine in drag. This is not a dictionary. It's a forest. Glitter doesn't need to be put to shame for a hammer to be useful. Tell us about a love that had you noticing peonies everywhere, and I'll score it 10 out of 10 every time. It is not so much that we invented ourselves, but put up windows where there used to be cement that broke skin if you fell into it. Glass is powerful like that. Makes people feel seen just as much as its possibility for shatter. And even then, with visions scattered on the floor and dangerous, it sparkles. Thank you all so much for having me. I have a forthcoming book with Game Over Books. It comes out April 15th, and I'll be doing a lot more shows around the Boston area around that time. So if you want to stay connected, you can follow me on Instagram at puppet_McFly, and which might be in the program or maybe not. But yeah, at puppet_McFly. Yeah, it's been so nice being with you this morning. This last poem I wrote on the train on the way here. It seems like everyone I know has endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome, writhing in pain, growing hair where they're not supposed to. Men spent so much of history only studying their own bodies that they don't even understand something that is supposed to happen to half the population every month. They found a way to normalize pain. When your wrist hurts, something is wrong. When your head hurts, something is wrong. The body is asking for attention, reminding you that you are not just a machine, you are a sibling, a friend, a creator who needs rest or healing or medicine. In Western cultures, men have loved to see other men bleed in war. But when we bleed, we gender-defying people, we women, we are the ones seen as dangerous because we are ruled by the sky, the moon, who turns the cavity cauldron carrying the ocean over and over. The ocean for whom man will never truly know, who rules water for which we are also made of. They will never know, what we sense, called us witches and burned us too afraid of mystery. So maybe we should be. Maybe we should start acting dangerously. My 10 times great-grandmother was Margaret Scott, who was one of the last women to be burned during the Salem witch trials. I'll never know what her relationship to water or magic or blood was, but I know that if it happened to her, it could happen to me. For antique amounts of time, they have killed us because they didn't like us saying we must be unholy. So I have spent much of my life laying in grass, getting lost in the woods, pulling tarot cards to guide my most faithful next step. Because if they are already afraid, convinced to be scared instead of curious, I might as well behave dangerously. Thank you.